War. War never changes. War never changes.
You're gonna knock him dead at the Veterans Hall tonight, hun.
You think?
Absolutely. Now get ready and stop hogging the mirror.
Right.
Welcome to my Fallout 4 Survival 2022 playthrough. I'm Black Cat Red River, and in this episode we're going to be introducing you to survival mode difficulty for Fallout 4, as well as starting a new playthrough. This episode will be familiar to anyone who's played the game before, as our Vault Dweller escapes from Vault 111, returns to post-apocalyptic Sanctuary, and spends their first day searching the neighborhood and immediate vicinity before exhaustion and dusk set in, and they need to find a bed.
Looking good, if I do say so myself.
Good morning, sir. Your coffee. 173.5 degree Fahrenheit. Brewed to perfection. And today's newspaper just delivered.
Thanks, Cosworth.
Of course, sir.
You know,
There will be no surprises here for experienced players, but I will go over some of the key differences between regular and survival mode difficulties for those who have yet to try survival mode, and I will also go over my own self-imposed list of constraints for this playthrough. Everyone who plays has their own preferences and playstyles, and so I can only speak for myself here, but I enjoy imposing a number of additional limits on my own wasteland survivor, and I will talk about these and post these self-imposed rules in the channel notes for the video, and give a brief explanation for each of them.
he comes for you every day.
Something that is unquestionably inescapable.
Good morning! Vault-Tec calling.
Course to our great national pastime.
Go on.
Nice to find you, sir. You can't begin to know how happy I am to finally speak with you. I've been trying for days. It's a matter of utmost urgency, I assure you. I just need to verify some information, that's all.
This time through, we're going to be playing Samson Ripley. Ripley's obviously a tribute to Sigourney Weaver's character in Alien, but it's also one of the names that Codsworth can actually speak in the game. So that's always nice. However, Samson Ripley is going to be average in all respects. 4s across all of his specials.
Wonderful. That's everything. Just gonna walk this over to the vault. Congratulations on being prepared for the future.
Thanks again.
Hey, it's peace of mind. That's worth a little paperwork, right?
For you and Sean, no price is too high.
Good answer.
I have my moments.
In case it's not otherwise apparent, I'm playing this on PS4 without any mods of any kind. I do have all the DLCs or add-ons loaded, so we might find ourselves battling robot gangs or going to Far Harbor or Nuka World or delving into Vault 88, depending on what happens and what feels fun or interesting at the time.
How are the two most important men in my life doing? Spin the mobile a bit. He loves that. Hey, how's my little guy? Much better now, huh?
Sir, Mum, you should come and see this.
Codsworth? What's wrong?
Followed by flashes, blinding flashes. Sounds of explosions. We're trying to get confirmation.
What?
We seem to have lost
What did he
contact with our
say?
affiliate stations. We do have coming in. That's confirmed reports. I repeat, confirmed reports of nuclear detonations in New York and Pennsylvania. My God.
Oh my god.
We need to get to the vault. Now!
I've got Sean. Let's go.
Sanctuary Hills. If you are registered,
Check in at the gate. If you're in the program, you'll get in.
That's absurd! I am
Not on
Vault
the list.
Tech.
You don't get in.
I'm going in. You can't stop me. Okay.
I'm reporting.
We need to get in. We're on the list.
Infant, adult male, adult female. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
Good luck, ma'am. And God
You
help
two,
us all.
follow me. Come on.
What's gonna happen to all those people outside
We're
the
doing
gate?
everything we can. Now keep moving. Step
This
on the
way.
platform. In the center.
All right, that's it. Send it down.
Almost there. We're gonna be okay. I love you. Both of you.
We love you too. Oh my god!
Now! Send it down now!
Hold on.
Can't this thing move faster?
Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. We did it. We made it. We're okay.
Everyone please, step off the elevator and proceed up the stairs in an orderly fashion.
No need to worry, folks. We'll get everyone situated in your new home. Vault 111. A better future underground.
Failure in cryogenic array. Vault residents must vacate immediately.
Come on. Oh, God!
Failure in cryogenic. Residents must vacate immediately.
I'll find who did this, and I'll get Sean back. I promise. God.
Why would Vault Tech do this?
Cryogenic array.
Can't be the only one left.
Residents must
Hello? Anyone?
The main differences between regular and survival mode are one, that there's no fast travel other than limited faction travel methods like vertibirds and the molecular relay. Two, that everything weighs more, including ammo, so there's heavier carry weight restrictions. And so you need to manage your inventory better and limit the number of, weapons that you're carrying, and learn to store stuff in secure locations. 3, healing is much more difficult. And with the introduction of infections, parasites, and diseases, which can be acquired from drinking dirty water or uncooked food or animal bites, or even just sleeping on dirty mattresses, the need for medicines and doctors becomes much more important in survival mode. And with these new ailments, there's now new medicines too, the most important of which is antibiotics. Some infections can even cause periodic damage, so without medical care they can be life-threatening. Damage taken from enemies is increased significantly, making the use of caution and cover or the use of a hasty retreat much more prudent. And all of that stuff combined with the fact that you can no longer save the game anywhere and anytime you wish, and now you need to access a bed or bedroll to save the game. All of those combined make for a much more cautious and, in a way, realistic playthrough. The need for beds to save the game means that knowledge about indoor and outdoor campsites becomes significantly more important in survival mode. Reduced detection range and HUD changes in survival mode mean enemies no longer show up on your directional compass as little red icons. So that combines with other changes in survival mode in a way that further lends itself to caution. One thing that partially offsets some of the difficulties is the addition of the adrenaline perk, which gives a cumulative damage boost the more you are engaged in combat and killing enemies throughout the day. Although that goes away once you go to sleep again. Exhaustion, hunger, and thirst are all important changes to the game as well, but one of the nice things that go along with that is the refillable bottles. Empty beer bottles and nuka bottles can be filled up with whatever water source you have access to, at a river or a pond or at a water pump or a sink in a vault like this. So empty bottles become one of the wasteland's true treasures in survival mode. Another big change related to food and hunger, however, is that food no longer gives healing or other buffs if you're already hungry. Right? You have to sate your hunger first, and then use the consumable to gain the special effect that you want. So it's a bit of a weird mechanic, but it's important to keep in mind, because if you want to actually get that carry weight bonus from grilled rad stag, but you don't notice that you're hungry before you pop that, then you're going to lose your carry weight buff. There's also more legendary enemies in survival mode, which means you'll have more access to legendary items if you don't shy away from actually fighting them. And another big change is that medicines and chems have different kinds of side effects that increase your hunger, thirst, fatigue, or even your disease susceptibility for a certain duration. Doesn't mean you can't use them, but it's important to be aware. If you don't have access to antibiotics or doctors, then you may not want to increase your risk factors for certain things. So it makes taking a rat away much more of a dilemma, because you get more susceptible to other kinds of infections. And those are some of the main changes of between regular mode and survival mode.
What happened here? Where is everyone? Nice. Coming back later for you.
So, as you can see here, by the time you acquire your Pip-Boy, which lets you look at your stats, your special attributes, perks, buffs, and debuffs, you should have a couple points in adrenaline from killing a few rad roaches by the time you get to the end of the vault. And in my inventory, it shows that I've picked up a couple 10mm pistols and a baton, and then I've managed to find some rounds of ammo, not counting what I've used on roaches. And here you can see, what kinds of damage, fire rate, range, accuracy, weight, other stats that each weapon might have. And you also get your current encumbrance and carry capacity, how much money you have in bottle cap currency, your apparel. I've basically just got my vault suit and a pair of glasses now, which give a small perception buff. And in the aid section of your inventory, you get to see all your food and medical and chemical consumables that you might have. So after filling up a few bottles, I have 7 purified waters, 14 rad roach meats, and 5 stim packs for healing. So the rad roach meat is uncooked. It'll give you a minor healing buff, but offset your hunger. But it will also give you 11 rads or radiation damage for each one that you eat. So there's not really any reason to do that, because you can immediately cook it up at any sort of fire, cook fire or stove, and eliminate the radiation penalty. The Pip-Boy also gives you your current date and time. In this case, it's 9 in the morning on October 23rd in the year 2287. You can also check your quests, your map, or scan for radio or distress signals on your Pip-Boy. So you can see here that a signal just showed up, the classical radio. So my only current mission is to escape the vault and head back home to Sanctuary, right down there.
Codsworth? You're still here. So, other people could still be alive too.
Well, of course I'm still here. Surely you don't think a little radiation could deter the pride of General Atomics International? Shall we search the neighborhood together? The missus and young Sean may turn up yet.
There's nothing left here. It's all gone.
Well, if you wish to venture to parts unknown, I won't stop you. I shall guard the neighborhood in your absence.
Now, while I run around clearing bugs from Sanctuary and looking for useful loot, it's a good opportunity to go over my additional self-imposed rules for this playthrough. On top of the regular survival restrictions and the reasons behind them. I'm not going to add any additional rules on top of the basic survival mode parameters just to make things harder for no reason. Mostly my list is rooted in trying to imagine a more realistic, low skill, low tech kind of apocalypse. An actual wasteland where resources and medicines are more scarce, and where you can't just craft whatever you need by slapping together tin cans and duct tape. So my Vault Dweller can't do that, and he certainly can't craft a recon scope or any scope for that matter from a pile of junk. So from a realism standpoint, that never made much sense to me, at least without like significant training, equipment, and tools. So the inspiration here is more like Harlan Ellison's A Boy and His Dog. In other words, like a survivor that's, barely making ends meet. But the second reason is that I find some of the restrictions are actually enjoyable to me, at least for other reasons that may not be immediately obvious, which we'll get to in a minute. So the basic list of rules is as follows. No using power armor unless you join the Brotherhood of Steel and get far enough along to get awarded, the set of T60 armor, and you could reasonably be assumed to have received training for that sort of thing from that faction. No permanent companions except for specific quests that might require them for some temporary purpose or quest line. So the rationale here is just that my survivor's a loner, basically. The one exception to that can be Dogmeat, as it sort of fits with the boy and his dog theme, or survivor and their dog theme, to be more gender neutral. The next rule is basically no crafting except where noted, and that includes no crafting mods for weapons and armor, except for the lowest level, like the lowest level one that's sometimes needed to swap out for another mod. So in other words, you can use mods that are found or bought in the world already, and swap them into other weapons or armor, but you can't craft them. And so for that reason, there's no point in taking gun nut, blacksmith, and armorer perks, because you can't really use them anyway. So in addition to just being more consistent, with a low-tech, low-skill vision for the wasteland, this has two additional side benefits that aren't immediately obvious. And first, it just saves you from spending all those perk points on skills that you won't need. So these can be put into other things. And second, it makes finding weapons and armor with better mods or pieces on them than what you currently have a much more valued moment in the game. So it makes those things like genuine treasures when you can't craft them from garbage at will, and instead have to actually find them and manually swap the parts out for the loadout that you want. So yeah, that means you'll very likely be behind on what you would otherwise have access to for your given level. You won't have the most powerful receiver on your gun. You won't have the best scope. You may not have any scope, and so on, right? But when you do find a weapon in the wasteland, or when you do check out a vendor's wares, you're going to be much more attuned to what its components are. And if it has a mod on it that you've been looking for like weeks, then it'll actually be a moment of, joy, a priceless treasure, in fact, which is a very different way of relating to loot than normal in this game. If you can craft everything from junk, then nothing impresses you. And finding loot, you often don't even really pay attention to what it is. You just toss it or sell it, because you can craft everything you want, right? So I'm not going to do any of that. Additionally, on this run, there's going to be no allied settlers whatsoever, and therefore no crops, no shops, other than what's already found in the world somewhere. And that means doing no quests that would result in a settlement becoming allied. So that doesn't mean you can't take over an uninhabited settlement and use it as a base, and leave it otherwise uninhabited. So I'll be able to do that and use, whatever is already there, but no allied settlers. The next is basically no crafting or building in general, including beds. Right? If a sleeping bag or a mattress or a bed frame already exists somewhere in the settlement or immediately adjacent, on the ground or in a building, then, a case can be made for, that you might have dragged those items to that settlement and placed them there. So crafting, an item in that respect, you could sort of role play it as if it was found material, but you have to actually find it in order to be able to do that. So otherwise, no beds other than what you already find. And the same goes for crafting other kinds of items like storage chests and so on, right? And that also means no building crafting benches at settlements, just using ones that already exist in the world. So the almost total absence of crafting means there's very little reason to collect piles of junk wherever you go. You can be much more selective, grabbing things that might sell for caps, but otherwise hoarding all kinds of crap from the wasteland is basically pointless. And that includes, no crafting potable water sources anywhere except perhaps putting a sink at home plate in Diamond City or something where they already actually have a water purifier for the city. So it can make sense in that context. So that brings us to home plate, one of the few housing options that makes sense for that kind of a wasteland vision. Crafting items for home plate is possible because it can be assumed to have already been furnished, or that the items could have been bought or traded for from other residents or vendors in Diamond City. The other restriction I'm imposing on myself is that I'm not going to allow myself to craft drugs or medicines like antibiotics. I can only use ones that are found or bought in the world. One exception to that could be mixing existing drugs, like turning Jet and Psycho maybe into Psychojet or something like that maybe. So I'm not creating the basic items, but I'm mixing them together. No crafting explosives, except for the lowest tech Molotov cocktails, basically. Already noted is all of my starting stats are equalized and average 4s across the board. And I'm limiting myself to one basic faction to be determined during the course of the playthrough. But once that first, faction is picked, you're all in basically. No doing side hustles with other factions, right? Additional goals, a permadeath run, right? No going back to an earlier save. That also is true for other things, like no building stuff just to farm XP. That doesn't make sense to me either. And no save scumming to farm legendary items, legendary gear, legendary weapons, legendary armor, that sort of thing. I'm just going to get what I get in this run through and let the RNG gods determine what happens. Additional goals, I guess we'll see how it goes, but I might try to max out my special attributes at 11. I didn't bother with the special book method that lets you get one attribute to 12. So for this one, I'll just try to get all of my specials up to 11. And I'm not worried about avoiding VATs for this run, but who knows? Maybe we'll try to do that for a future series. So those are the basic ideas for this survival playthrough.
That's it. Nice. Sweet.
Generally, I like to search the whole neighborhood thoroughly before venturing out, looking for food, water, empty bottles, clothing pieces, armor pieces, weapons, ammo, bobby pins, that sort of thing, medicines, chems, and in particular antibiotics. Oh, antibiotics like that. It's hard to build up a good base of antibiotics early in the game when you need it the most. So checking everywhere in Sanctuary is a good idea before you set out into the wider world. And this little bunker down here is a good place to find bottles, water, that sort of thing. And it's the only place that has an actual bed in Sanctuary that you can use. So right there's a mattress. So I could probably, in role-playing terms, drag this mattress out into the neighborhood and use that as a sort of excuse for building or crafting a working bed, a single working bed with a mattress out in the town there. Yeah, checking all the safes. I think you only need advanced lockpicking to open up everything in Sanctuary.
Got it.
So far, I only have one dose of antibiotics since searching Sanctuary. A few grilled rad roaches and a few purified waters still left over from the vault and from a few places in Sanctuary. Now, I don't want to rest yet. Don't want to rest too early before it's actually dark and lose the adrenaline that I've built up. So I want to kind of keep pressing my search in the vicinity until it starts to get a little bit dark. And here I'm trying to store my extra ammo. Can't carry around too much ammo in survival mode. It weighs too much, but it's good for resale to vendors. We'll do a little scan of the neighborhood and the river surrounding Sanctuary until it starts to get dark. Maybe we'll luck out and find some more antibiotics or an interesting piece of clothing or armor.
Hey, Codsworth.
Mr. Ripley, give me the word, sir, and I'll initiate my search protocols.
Codsworth, I already looked. They're not here.
Then they're really gone, aren't they? Maybe you could try Concord. I've seen people in that area, and they're only slightly heavily armed.
There's still people alive in Concord?
Yes, although they're a bit rough. You remember the way? Just across the southern footbridge, out of the neighborhood, and past the Red Rocket Station?
Alright, let's go check out the Red Rocket before it gets too dark and time to come home for some sleep. Cross over the bridge here and pick up some of the loot. Stim packs. Dogmeat. A molotov. Nice. There's Dogmeat.
Hey, boy. What are you doing out here all by yourself? You lose your owner, buddy? Okay, then. Let's stick together. Hey. How you doing, buddy? Hey, boy. You know any tricks?
Who's a good boy? That's a good Dogmeat. Alright, it's time to start heading back to Sanctuary now that dusk is setting in, and get ready for darkness at the end of our first day of adventuring in the wasteland. We'll drag this mattress out maybe tomorrow and set up a different bed. But for now, we will get ready for the night. We've got a little bit of water, a little bit of food to keep us going for a while. And we are ready for our first night's sleep. Now we can only actually sleep for 5 hours, I believe, here on this mattress. Yeah. Can only sleep 5 hours on a mattress. This doesn't count as a full bed for some reason. And we have a level up. What should we take? Maybe Lone Wanderer, perhaps? That's a good one for early on. So that's where we'll end off on our first night, safe in our bunker with our new dog companion.